grew within them. They couldn't tell whether she was human or ghost, and they leaned more towards the latter. Compared to them, the figure in front moved without making a sound. The spacious, lengthy corridor had no visible rooms, and apart from the woman leading the way, there were no other figures in sight. This situation caused the atmosphere to grow heavy and stagnant, with beads of sweat forming on their foreheads without them even realizing it. Eventually, Pan Hao could no longer endure the oppressive atmosphere and called out to the woman in front, "Hey, where are you taking us?" The woman did not respond, nor did she show any reaction, continuing to walk like a robot, holding the candle holder. Seeing this, Pan Hao immediately stopped and shouted, Hey, if you don't speak, are we just leaving?" The woman seemed deaf, continuing her path without a word. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the corridor became eerie. The group halted, no longer wanting to follow the woman, and even contemplated leaving the castle. They believed that facing the outside world was better than enduring this stifling atmosphere. However, at that moment, the woman finally reacted. To the dining room. The simple 3 words came out cold, like a chilling wind from the depths of hell, causing the 3 to shiver. After speaking, the woman lifted her foot and continued forward, still making no sound. The group stood frozen in place, exchanging glances. They all knew something was off about this woman, but they had no other choice. They could either retrace their steps or follow her to the so-called dining room. The idea of harming the woman hadn't crossed their minds yet. After all, they couldn't tell if she was an NPC or a creature in the castle. Clearly, though, the woman was not unapproachable. As long as communication was possible, they could uncover the mysteries of the castle. With that thought, they decided to follow her to the dining room. Once again, they moved, keeping a safe distance behind the woman. This way, if she suddenly attacked, they would have a chance to react. Soon, while remaining vigilant, they arrived at a wooden door with the woman. She pushed it open and walked straight in. A few people followed Maya in, and in an instant, the bright light made them instinctively cover their eyes with their hands. The last one to enter was taken aback and, suppressing discomfort, lowered their arms. "I can't believe this." As Pan Hao's vision adjusted, he was immediately shocked by the scene before him. At the same time, several women's screams erupted. The ones screaming were Maya and her companions. They weren't under any attack, they were simply frightened by the scene in front of them. Meanwhile, viewers watching the live stream reacted with shock. What the heck? Is this a kitchen? It looks more like a slaughterhouse. Oh no, given this situation, the host is definitely in trouble. Who cares? In 18 years, I'll still be a good man. In contrast to the viewers casually chatting in the live stream, the 4 girls in the group were thoroughly terrified by the sight before them. Along the way, they had considered many possible outcomes. They even thought that upon entering the kitchen, they might face various attacks. In short, they had imagined all sorts of scenarios. However, they never anticipated anything like the current situation. They hadn't even entertained such thoughts prior to this moment. The girls believed that they had seen their fair share of chaos in the world of biohazard crises. They weren't particularly afraid when facing those grotesque zombies or human remains. Yet now, looking at this kitchen filled with flesh and bones, they felt utterly chilled to the bone. Standing there, it was as if they were naked on an ice field. They could never have dreamed that a kitchen could look like this. "Have you eaten?" Suddenly, a greeting rang out. What was supposed to be a normal question instantly sent chills down Maya and her companion's spines in such an environment. They instinctively looked towards the woman standing next to a wooden table. At that moment, the candlestick in her hand had been replaced with a bone-slicing knife. Yes, a bone-slicing knife, the kind used at home for chopping chicken during festive seasons, and the blade was still dripping with fresh blood. Looking at the woman holding the knife and the horrifying scene around them, the girls suddenly found that question about eating very nauseating. At that moment, even the most oblivious person could sense that something was wrong with the scene before them. The girls instinctively wanted to shake their heads, but unexpectedly, Pan Hao, almost as if possessed, replied, "No, we haven't eaten." As soon as the words left his mouth, he realized he had made a mistake, hurriedly waving his hands and quickly saying, "Yes, we've eaten. We're full." However, the pale-faced woman didn't listen to Pan Hao's explanation. She stiffly raised her arm and, with a thud, brought the knife down on a half slab of ribs in front of her. The ribs were only half a slab, and it was hard to tell whether they belonged to an animal or a human. However, judging by the large bones hanging from the ceiling, which resembled human leg bones, it was highly likely that this was a human rib. The woman's expression was numb, with no extra emotion at all, even when the knife struck, causing flesh to splatter. Her unblinking eyes showed no sign of flinching. In that moment, the few onlookers truly understood what it meant to kill without batting an eye. Whether it was fear or something else, they watched in shock as the woman continued to chop the bones in front of her. Just when they thought she would use the bones to cook, she unexpectedly took down a leg bone from the various meats hanging above her head. Without a word or any expression, she raised her bone-cutting knife and began chopping again. The bizarre atmosphere was driving them to the brink of madness. Fortunately, at that moment, Maya suddenly remembered her mission and quickly asked, I need to find something. Do you know where the items on this list are? As she spoke, she pulled out the list given to her by Lena and gestured for the woman to see it. However, she did not expect that when the woman mechanically looked up and saw the list, it was as if she had encountered something terrifying. With a startled cry, she brandished her knife and angrily lunged at them, shouting, Kill! The sharp, piercing scream instantly echoed throughout the ancient castle. Chapter 325. These women have gone mad. The pale-faced women charged like vengeful spirits from the underworld, startling several people in an instant. Fortunately, Pan Xian from the group reacted quickly, immediately drawing her sword and shield to block the attack with a loud clash. The woman in the gray long dress did not get knocked back like the previous beast, but instead held her ground against Pan Xian, bracing herself with a wooden shield. At the same time, the others finally got a clear look at the woman behind the shield. Her face was deathly pale, as if coated in a layer of flour, covered with fine, black fissures resembling a spider's web. The most horrifying aspect was her eyes. Those lifeless eyes looked like two wooden balls carved as decorations, rough and poorly crafted. Faced with such a terrifying visage, the group felt their scalps tingle. But the next moment, something even stranger happened. The woman's mouth did not open. Yet a chilling roar erupted, seemingly from the depths of hell. Die. What the hell is this? The bizarre scene made Pan Hao, who was behind Pan Xian, lose his cool. He yelled and pulled out a dagger to attack the woman. You're a coward. Pan Xian was startled by her brother's sudden action and instinctively tried to push him away. However, it was too late. As she exerted her strength, Pan Hao's dagger had already lunged towards the woman's abdomen. Swish! The sharp, keen dagger pierced through the woman's long dress, followed by the sound of a blade entering some kind of material. This sound was completely inconsistent with piercing flesh. At that moment, Pan Hao's exclamation answered the group's confusion. What the hell? Wooden? Pan Hao couldn't believe his eyes as he stared at the long dress that had been sliced open. More precisely, it was the body of the woman inside the dress. Although the cut was not large and the light was dim, his vision allowed him to see clearly. The body was black, resembling decayed wood, embedded with various gears of different sizes. At that moment, he realized he had never before been so eager to understand a woman's body. Amidst his shouts and curiosity, he forcefully withdrew the dagger and instinctively used it to slice open the woman's long dress. He swore he had no lewd intentions. He simply wanted to understand. Swish! As he wished, the sharp dagger effortlessly tore through the long dress, exposing the black body to the others. As the long dress was ripped apart and her body revealed, the woman with the pale face seemed to be stimulated by something, letting out a sharp scream of fear and confusion. The woman, who had been resisting the force against the shield, instinctively grabbed the torn dress, attempting to cover herself. However, just then, a stronger force from the shield slammed against her, sending her flying. Seeing the woman thrown out, Maya and the others finally regained their senses. Is that a mechanical body? No, it shouldn't be. To be precise, it seems to be a decayed. At this point, Zhou Hong stopped, as she momentarily didn't know how to describe what she saw. Just then, Wang Ming suddenly interjected. A puppet. A puppet. Her body looks like a puppet. Yes. Exactly a puppet. That's what I was trying to say. Zhou Hong's eyes lit up, and she immediately added, Puppet? Maya murmured upon hearing this. And it seemed she thought of something, quickly taking out the list that Lena had given her. Spring mechanism, intact doll arms, exquisite metal pieces, copper base. One by one, the items flashed before her eyes and entered her mind. It was only at this moment that she realized that the items on the list did not need to be found in the castle, but rather taken apart from the woman in front of her. Although the other party was not human, her appearance still made her hesitate. However, this hesitation did not last long, as the woman launched another attack, and Maya completely cast her doubts aside. Facing the woman's renewed assault, the group was no longer caught off guard. With Pan Xian stepping forward to block, Zhou Hong and Wang Ming also launched their respective attacks. Zhou Hong was a tall girl with long legs and a single ponytail, and taking advantage of her height, she leaped over Pan Xian's head. Her spear struck down towards the woman's head like lightning. At the same time, the gun in Wang Ming's hand let out a series of gunfire sounds. Although it was a gun, it produced the effect of a submachine gun. As the gun fired, black pellets shot out continuously, hitting the woman with pinpoint accuracy. Bang! Zhou Hong's spear followed closely, striking the woman's head, and in an instant, wood chips flew everywhere as the woman was sent flying back. The group did not dare to let their guard down, rushing to the fallen woman and mercilessly raising their weapons to attack her. Clang! Clang! In an instant, sparks flew and wood splinters scattered. Before long, the woman in the long dress was reduced to pieces, except for Maya. Watching the woman now turned into a pile of scrap parts, Maya felt a mix of amusement and despair. Just as she was about to search for the parts listed, she suddenly felt several icy stares fixed on her. She instinctively looked up to meet their gazes, her expression instantly stiffening. I remember you said earlier that you were a puppeteer, right? Then, can you explain this to us? Pan Xian, the main force of the team, was the first to question her. Seeing this, Maya initially planned to try to defend herself, but realizing how strange everything was in this castle, she had no choice but to come clean. What is this? You said this is your job change task? Then what about the equipment you mentioned? Were they all lies? Damn, I really can't tell. You look so innocent and sweet, yet you have 1,000 tricks up your sleeve. Upon hearing that there were no actual equipment, Pan Hao couldn't help but blush and spat at Maya, his face full of indignation. Realizing she was in the wrong, Maya could only wipe her face instinctively and remain silent. Once the other person finished speaking, she finally said, I can't help it. You all saw it. This is no beginner task. After a pause, she added, if you want to leave now, go ahead. I'll figure out this task on my own. Easy for you to say, but those beasts outside are watching us closely. Where are we supposed to go? Pan Hao shouted angrily, then turned to his sister and said, Sis, how about we just leave her here and figure it out ourselves? Before he could finish, Zhou Hong suddenly interrupted, what about your map? And the task item list? Hearing this, Maya hesitated for a moment before taking out the map and the list and handing them to Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong took them and began to examine them closely. While the others were confused, Zhou Hong returned the map to Maya and said, I'll help you with this task. Maya looked at Zhou Hong in surprise, and before she could express her gratitude, Wang Ming chimed in, I'll help you too. Pan Hao stared wide-eyed at the two girls. What the heck? Are you two out of your minds? In this situation, you still want to. However, before he could finish, his sister said, I'll stay and help you as well. Are you kidding me? This is crazy.